United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the August 20th, 2018 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair of the commission. Joining me today is Commissioner Shelley Bueller and Commissioner Bob Archer. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Clerk, if we could have our first item.
Our first item is item 3, consent agenda.
There are 10 items on the consent agenda. Are there any questions regarding it?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business, A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Vouchers are totaling $6,079,949.92. The largest amount of that is with under general expense, Security Bank of Kansas City, totaling $3,743,410.62. That is our principal and interest on our COPs and the PBC, the Public Building Commission. Second, under special for Public Works is $470,089.96. The largest majority of that is for the construction for Southwest 77th Street between US 75 and Southwest Burlingame Road. That's $359,069.10. And the third largest amount actually is $454,723.47. Most of all of that is passed through for the East Topeka Learning Center, which we are a project manager for. So if there are no questions, I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval of the correction orders.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A3, public hearing and consider approval of resolution number 2018-39, exempting certain property owned by Mars Wrigley Confectionery U.S. LLC from ad valorem taxation for economic development purposes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Crowl, Shawnee County Councilor. This is a public hearing that we will need to open. Before we open that public hearing, I do want to run through what we're doing here today. Pursuant to the state constitution, state statute, and our Home Rule Resolution 2002-9, we have the responsibility to set up procedures for granting economic development tax, property tax exemptions. We are to set up a procedure for reviewing tax exemption applications and for monitoring any exemptions that have been granted. We're the first step in that process. Then it goes to the state of Kansas, to the Board of Tax Appeals for review and approval of any tax exemption. This one this morning is an application that's been filed by Mars Wrigley Confectionery regarding a new addition to their existing plant here in Topeka, Kansas. It is adding an additional 70 full-time equivalent positions and additional part-time positions on that. We do have Mr. DeFries here. And introduce yourself, sir.
Brett Spangler, Slater.
Okay. With Mars, if you have any questions for them. Mars is growing, and that's a great thing for that community. It supports the community. It supports all the taxing districts within that. In fact, the cost-benefit analysis shows that the net result of if we grant this exemption estimates $2,677,138 additional dollars to the city of Topeka and $883,566 to Shawnee County. That is the net effect, not a gross effect. So this is a win-win for Shawnee County, city of Topeka, and Mars. And I'd just like to remind people, we're not exempting existing property that's paying taxes. We're exempting a new addition and new investment, and that's an investment that may not be made otherwise. So we're exempting that for a period of 10 years, and then after that 10 years, that new value gets put on the tax rolls. And we do have several that we've done under this program that are starting to come back online. Target, Frito-Lay. So anyway, that's sort of an overview of the process. We do need to open a public hearing and have a public hearing on this.
Go ahead.
I'll move to open the public hearing.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller to open the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. The public hearing is now open as to the request by Mars Wrigley Confectionery US, LLC. I don't know. Mr. Spangler, is there anything that you want to say about how things are going out at Mars, or how sweet it is? If you want to.
I'll answer the first question, the most important. I didn't bring any candy with me, sorry. But things are going extremely well. So I think from the day one where we broke ground, the relationship with the commission, with the community, everything else is going extremely well. So the bad news is the building is full now. But the good news is we're still continuing to look at ways we can continue to expand, be more efficient, and bring out some new varieties. So the topic that we got on the table today is for our caramel line that we put in. So that was about a 90,000 square foot addition. As we mentioned before, about 70 full-time jobs. So the head count at the factory now is at about 425 with another 300 full or part-time associates as well. So we continue to grow. Business is great, and we want to continue to develop this property.
This is the second expansion.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. Any questions for Mr. Spangler?
No, I do not.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for your support of the community as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This time, are there any members of the public that wish to offer any comments regarding the request for a tax exemption for 10 years?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jackie Steele with Go Topeka. I'm the Vice President of Business Retention and Expansion. I am here to speak on behalf of Go Topeka in support of this expansion and of the tax abatement. I think, as we all know, Mars has been a great corporate citizen. It was amazing that we were able to land them here. It was definitely a sweet deal, and we're happy that they are here. As the business retention person, I just think it's so important that we support our existing businesses. A lot of times it's always the news of the new businesses that come in. I mean, even when Mars came in, it was certainly a huge deal. But we want to make sure that we continue that. Once those people get here, that we continue to support our businesses that are in the community. They're here, they pay taxes, they're bringing employees in, so anytime that they're expanding, we want to try to support that as much as possible so that they can continue to expand. And what we refer to it as is we want them to be sticky, so we want them to keep investing their money here, hiring more people here, so it's harder and harder for them to either leave, or we're competing in terms of a corporation. They have locations throughout the country, throughout the world, and so we want to make sure that they're thinking about Topeka. So I'm just here to support their application for a tax abatement.
Absolutely, and I think that having a second addition, second expansion, 70 new jobs to the Topeka community, that's a significant investment, and very happy to see it.
Absolutely.
Is there any other members of the public that wish to have comment regarding it?
I actually didn't know nothing about it till I came today, so. But I'm kind of curious.
If you state your name, please.
Alan Ryblin.
Okay.
I'm curious, how do we come up with a number of 10 years to give, and I'm for business growing. I'm just curious how we come up with a 10-year after they've already been here. And you give them 10 years, I'm assuming, off of when they built the first plant.
Correct.
So how do we come up with that 10-year figure, and how does he come up with his numbers, the amount of the taxes we're going to make? Where's that number coming from? Is it coming from people that are living in the area? Or, they come in, they spend more money because they move here. Mm-hmm. So is that where the number's coming from, or how's he coming up with that number, or that tax profit that we're going to gain in Shawnee County? So.
Sure. Jim, you want to address that?
Sure. The 10-year period is the amount set by actually the Kansas Constitution. That's the amount that cities and counties can exempt property up to, a maximum of 10 years, a maximum of 100%. And pursuant to our policies with Shawnee County, Mars does definitely meet the threshold for a 10-year abatement of taxes. The cost-benefit analysis is required by state law. Every business that applies for a tax exemption must provide a cost-benefit analysis, and how they do that is set out by the state of Kansas. And it's in the record, if you want to take a look at it for this one. There is
You don't
a,
have an answer, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
no, there is a,
I mean, you don't have a specific answer saying where the tax money's coming from.
well, it deals with not only the jobs that are made through construction of the expansion, but also the money that's going to be spent in the economy through the additional new employees. So you get the wages, the full-time wages and benefits that go to the new employees, and then they're living in this community, they're buying, they're spending. And so there's a cost-benefit analysis document that analyzes all of that. It's very
So
detailed.
does it have it broke down in years then? How long
Yes.
it's going to take to get back and all that?
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And it'll be in the packet for today's agenda if you want to go online and find that.
Be on the website?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It is, sir.
It is.
Today?
We haven't voted yet.
It is 42 pages long, the cost-benefit analysis document.
Any other public comments or questions regarding the request? Commissioners, any comments?
Now, I would move to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution.
A second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? That motion passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, Explicenter. Number 1, consider approval of request for an emergency payment to McPherson Wrecking in an amount of $39,700 for removal of insulation in Domer Livestock Arena.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kellen Site Inspector of Venue Management, Kansas Expo Center. This request is before you today due to some insulation failure inside Domer Arena about a month and a half ago. So we had some Domer insulation come down during an event. We analyzed the problem, the situation. We brought over HTK, our architect of record for the renovation project, as well as Latimer Summers, the engineering team, alongside that project, and their recommendation was to remove that insulation as quickly as possible so as to not continue any further water vapor damage on the underside of that roof decking material. The issue and why we're requesting this payment today is that it was not part of the original scope of work for the renovation project itself. So we did have that removed and come down, and we have worked back into the renovation project a coating of the underside of that roof decking material for Domer to make that lifespan last longer and keep that up in good shape.
Any questions regarding the request? I'll move for approval.
A second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item C, District Court. Number 1, consider approval of request to fill a county-funded position of court technology support specialist at a salary, including benefits, of $51,504.56.
Good morning, Charles Hydovitz, District Court. This is for one of our county-funded technology positions who just recently resigned, so we're looking for permission to refill that position as soon as possible to continue our operations.
So this is not an addition of a new position, but filling an existing position.
That's correct.
Any questions regarding it?
I'll move to approve the
A
request.
second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item D, Corrections. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-260-2018, Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Topeka for the 2018 JEG Program Grant allocating $35,731 to Shawnee County for 2 projects that include upgrading the equipment and software for part of the door locking systems and replacing the batteries that are the backup power for part of the control center.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. Each year, Shawnee County participates with the City of Topeka for the Justice Assistance Grant, which is called the JAG Grant, for funds that can come to they come to both the city and the county for law enforcement and equipment type needs or purchases. That grant is split between the city and the county, and then within the county, the Sheriff's Office and the Department of Corrections are the ones that split that. We do work very closely with Sheriff Jones and his office regarding the issuance of those funds. Sometimes we split those funds, sometimes we'll meet with them and they'll have a specific program or project they would like to use, so we forfeit our side and say, hey, go ahead and take all of it. We've done that the last couple of years. We met with Sheriff Jones and the staff at the Sheriff's Office and requested to see if we could use all the funds this year to upgrade or basically to upgrade the technology that is going to be obsolete to our locking mechanisms at the Department of Corrections and our battery backups that go to control centers to maintain in a power or generator failure that we can do that. Those funds, and that's what this is a memorandum of understanding or agreement with the city that we're going to allow. And these, the project we want to use would be approved for the eligibility of JAG funds.
Any questions for Brian regarding this request?
No, I have none. I'll move approval of the contract.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Our next item.
Item E, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval of request to award the bid for tall fescue seed to Pennington Seed at a cost of $28,910 delivered, and award the bid for perennial ryegrass seed to Helena at a cost of $7,743.40 delivered, for a total of $36,653.40, with funding from the Parks and Rec General Fund and the Earned Income Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kerry Golden, Director of Golf for Shawnee County Parks and Rec. We received bids from 7 different vendors for these grass seed varieties. The seed that we're asking for is for the entire department, Parks and Rec Department. As Cindy had mentioned, we have about $11,357 coming out of the Earned Income Fund, which is out of the Golf Division. That's non-tax dollar support, and the remainder balance will be coming out of the General Fund or Operating Fund. Be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item E2, consider approval of request for out-of-state travel for up to 6 employees to attend the National Recreation and Park Association Annual Conference with costs not to exceed $2,000 per employee.
Morning, Commissioners. Olivia Mayer, Parks and Rec. We have our national conference coming up actually next month. This is an opportunity, our biggest opportunity to receive professional development at the highest level. We also are going to be able to have our final hearing for the accreditation process while we're down at this conference. Do you have any questions?
I understand that you're planning on driving there and using carpooling to get there.
Yes, that is one of the plans. We still are awaiting approval to see what John wants to do, but yeah, we do have the figures worked for both of them, and we'd be driving the Priuses, so.
And then, once you come back, there would be a trip report to talk about what you learned and how you would implement that in Shawnee County?
Yes, we have a new professional development plan that came out of the accreditation process, and one of the things in that plan is every individual that is receiving professional development, not only do they have to ask for permission, but they have to write why it's helpful to them and how they plan on using it when they return. So once approved, the employees who are going to be able to attend, we'll sit down and look at all of the opportunities. There's over 800 different things that we can all go to, so we want to make sure to maximize our time there so that we can bring it back.
Any questions for Olivia?
I know we're sending 6 people there, but there's an array of opportunities to meet with other people as well as conferences.
Definitely, yep.
So I do support this, and I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item F, Planning, number 1, preliminary discussion of the comprehensive plan.
Before we get started, and I think this is why we're all here today, or majority of the individuals here today, is to take up the comprehensive plan. I've asked Jim Crowl, our county councilor, to give us just a little bit of where we are at and what action we can take today and how we might proceed. So, Jim, if you could.
Yes, good morning again, Jim Crowl, Shawnee County Councilor. This process is also covered by statute, and it has sort of a ping-pong nature to it, where it starts out in the Planning Commission, comes to the County Commissioners, we send it back to the Planning Commission, and now it's back for final action before the County Commission. When we received it the first time, we were limited in the type of action that could be done by the Board of County Commissioners. Now that you have received it back from the Planning Commission, you now have full authority to adopt it as is, to reject it, to amend any part of it, and then adopt that. So you have full authority over the document. You do not have a time limit in which to act. You can do this in however many meetings you feel is necessary to get as much public input as you can into it. And it does not have to be a unanimous vote. It's just a majority vote procedure at this point. I'll be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Any questions for Jim?
Thank you.
I might note just my intention as the chair is this is a 2-year process that we have been working on for the comprehensive plan, or almost 2 years. I would like to treat today as if a first reading, so that we would allow the opportunity for public comment. And then on Monday, the 27th, if the commissioners have amendments or changes to the comprehensive plan, to have those set forth, and then a final vote would then occur on September the 6th, since September the 3rd is Labor Day. So you will have
We
three
don't
opportunities.
have a meeting on
We do
September
not.
the 6th.
We do not.
Well, we don't have one on the 3rd either. So
No.
it will be then September the 10th. You would have then 3 opportunities to contact the commission, 3 opportunities to speak. But this is not something that we want to rush through or push through without allowing adequate and opportunities for comment. So today, I would like to open it up to the public for your comment, so that we can hear what concerns you may have with the comprehensive plan. I might note that the comprehensive plan is 100, almost 200 pages long itself, in addition to the issue papers, which is a separate bound volume, which answered questions, in addition to the resolution itself and the minutes from the Planning Commission and all the work that the Planning Commission undertook in review of the comprehensive plan. And so all 3 documents are quite voluminous and take a lot of reading to go through. And so I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to have their voice heard. I do want to thank the Planning Commission for the work that they've done in review and answering the questions set forth by the Commission. I also want to thank Mr. Beagle, our Planning Director, for all the work that he has done in conducting the surveys, working with the consultants, engaging public view, cooperation with the media, and getting the word out, and also working over the Planning Commission. So this has taken up a great deal of Mr. Beagle's time in addition. So thank you for all of your work as the Planning Director in this. So if Commissioners, would that meet with your schedule to allow public comment today, any reviews or amendments, then on the 27th, Commissioners' comment, and then any final action would be on September the 12th, or 10th,
10th.
September the 10th.
Thank you.
I think it's a good process.
All right. So, at this time, if you have a public comment, please come to the podium, state your name, so the clerk has the ability to record that, and then what comments you may have regarding the comprehensive plan.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Curtis Sneeden with the Greater Topeka Partnership. Thanks for the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you on the comprehensive plan. I'd like to reiterate the Chair's comments in praise of the process. I did participate in parts of that process and attended a number of the meetings, and so my compliments do go to Mr. Beagle and his team. It was a well-informed process, and there were opportunities for public input, which is obviously very critical in a plan like this. Now, there are many aspects of the plan before you which make a certain amount of sense to groups like the Greater Topeka Partnership. They don't raise concerns for us from an economic development point of view. I've been asked to focus on a certain element of the plan, so we do understand the thinking behind trying to minimize some of this so-called residential parcelization out in the county and some of the reasoning behind that, and that is consistent with Topeka's land use management plan. So that's not really our focus today, coming from the standpoint of the Greater Topeka Partnership. I'm focused on Chapter 7. You will find on page 154 several references to a prohibition on heavy commercial and industrial uses other than in certain specially designated parcels that are shown there on a little map. I think the idea behind this is to protect existing agricultural lands from that type of relatively intensive development. We don't have any basis for arguing with a county desire to conserve the county's agricultural properties, but from our point of view, an outright prohibition on those uses in a plan now could very well be the sort of decision that we come to regret later. For one thing, we do want to make sure that the way that map treats certain of the properties to the east of us is handled correctly, namely the property where Fudumara is located and also the Tecumseh Energy Center. Those are excellent spots with highway access, railway access, and we just would like to make sure that those don't somehow inadvertently fall into an area where industrial uses are prohibited. I expect that that's not a controversy, but we would want to make sure that we don't make a mistake with respect to those parcels. And then also, we see that the Kansas Fire Commercial Park, where Mars is located, does seem on that map to lie directly adjacent to an agricultural space where future commercial or industrial use would be prohibited. From our point of view, it seems that it would be counterproductive for the community to have gone through so much effort to rezone that area and build up the infrastructure down to it, only to truncate its future growth potential by drawing this line and saying such uses are prohibited over this line. As Go Topeka and others succeed in their mission of attracting more businesses to Shawnee County and growing the economy, we expect that all property developers in the county could find that their options for future growth are limited by the outright prohibition in the plan. The growth needs to be handled responsibly, no question, but that prohibition could be limiting. And so we would suggest that the plan ought to offer a greater degree of flexibility so that perhaps, we can express a priority for existing ag uses, but we also have a process for redeploying that property when a higher and better purpose presents itself through the marketplace. And presumably property owners as well would want to retain their right to utilize their holdings in the manner that's most productive to them. That could be agricultural now, but it could change in the future. And so we would like for this plan to allow for such change. And our staff at Go Topeka is more than happy to engage in deeper discussion on this to assist in the development of a more flexible approach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Leslie Prentice. I have to stand on my tiptoes here. I have been appointed to speak on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Topeka and Shawnee County. We have over 130 members, and we stand in favor of the Shawnee County 2037 Comprehensive Plan. For 35 years, our league has had official positions, and that means developed after serious study, that support comprehensive land use planning in Shawnee County. We therefore thank you, Chair Cook, Commissioner Bueller, and Commissioner Archer, for correctly implementing the creation of this comprehensive plan. We also thank you because the comprehensive plan was very expertly compiled. A large, knowledgeable team of professionals and stakeholders with the guidance and involvement of both commissions worked on plan development for over 2 years and appropriately made community input a priority. The comprehensive plan contains precisely the information that such plans are intended to convey. It is an impressive, extremely detailed, and graphic document packed with information. It draws a clear picture of past and current positions in Shawnee County. It sets forth goals based on those conditions, pertinent studies, and community input. It makes recommendations for planned future growth in Shawnee County rather than haphazard sprawl. Its findings, goals, and recommendations are comparable to those in comprehensive plans in use elsewhere. The comprehensive plan is a guide. It is advisory. It is not a set of laws. The plan contains a grandfather clause. The plan should be regularly reviewed and can be amended if the need arises. Generally, with comprehensive plans, decision makers must consider the guidelines when making decisions, but can make reasonable decisions that vary. The comprehensive plan follows Kansas laws, which authorize preparation of such a plan, quote, for the coordinated development of the county, end quote. Shawnee County's plan properly focuses on the public good. Its vision was carefully formulated to best promote the, quote, general welfare as well as the wise and efficient expenditure of public funds, end quote, as prescribed by Kansas law. The comprehensive plan's number one benefit impacting all Shawnee County taxpayers is land use planning that will save taxpayer dollars. The plan makes clear that our tax dollars are not being spent efficiently due to unplanned exurban development. Shawnee County is unique, not in having exurban sprawl, but in its unusually large amount of that sprawl. As of 2010, over 46,000 residents lived outside Shawnee County's 5 cities. This was 3.5 times such growth in Douglas, Johnson, Sedgwick, and Riley counties. Studies show that ex-urban sprawl results in inefficient spending when the county and townships are required to provide public services for scattered, unplanned development in unincorporated areas. Uncontrolled exurban sprawl in Shawnee County is also a likely cause of Topeka's failure to grow as quickly as we'd like and has hurt its tax base. Topeka is in Shawnee County, and it is our state's capital. We all share the desire to see Shawnee County and Topeka prosper. Finally, we address one commissioner's expressed concern that 3 of the current members on the Planning Commission voted against the plan. I'm afraid this concern must be taken with a grain of salt. Had he not earlier this year declined to retain 2 Planning Commission members who were involved during most of the plan development and favored the plan, with 2 members who voted against the plan, that count would be 6-1. The protection of the county's tax base and the efficient use of county tax dollars are cardinal responsibilities of the County Commission. None of the negative comments offered are backed by the quality and the quantity of research behind that comprehensive plan. More importantly, none of them deny that the comprehensive plan promotes and protects the best use of tax dollars. We commend you, commissioners, for finally and wisely moving toward adoption of a comprehensive plan. Please consider all us taxpayers in Shawnee County and vote in favor of the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have copies of my speech with you.
My name is John Bertel. I have 160 acres, and the part of the plan that I'm concerned about is what I can do with my land if I want to sell it. And I'm concerned about the part that says we have to go out and have it surveyed and then have it plotted, because I think that eliminates a whole bunch of buyers in my case. I would like for the plan to be such that other people have the option to buy. Maybe we can only sell 10 or 20 or 30 acres. If you want to worry about the sprawl thing, there's other options. This restricts it, and I think gives an unfair advantage to contractors who do this business. I think it should be open to everybody to bid on our land if we decide to sell it. But do it, like I say, I'd be willing to sell 10, 20, or 30 acres when the time comes, whatever. But I just wish we had other options.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Carol Marple. I live in the southern part of Shawnee County. I think you've all heard me speak, and you know my feelings about the comprehensive plan. With Mrs. Prentice, probably the only thing I agreed with is we don't spend our tax dollars efficiently. I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about the comprehensive plan in a little different way. Shawnee County has approximately 178,000 people living in the county. And I want to use RGD's own words, the people that did the planning. This is how Shawnee County is involved the public in the comprehensive planning process. We had 22 members on the steering committee. We had 300-plus responses to the community survey. Now, does that mean they had 301? Or does that mean they had 399? It probably doesn't mean that they had over 400, because they would have certainly put that number in because it would look better. And the focus group interviewed 49 people. This totals 371 people. This is not even 1% of the people that live in this county. But we based this comprehensive plan on what these people thought. I would also venture to say, not that I know who these people were, that probably at least 75% of these people did not own more than 10, 20 acres in this county. They have no skin in the game. I want to go back a little bit and talk about something that was passed. Building codes were passed recently for this county. And I agree, the concept is a very good one. But I will also say that bottom line is we have no way to enforce them. And I speak from personal experience. Ben and I recently spent over 6 months remodeling our house. We got a permit. Everyone that worked on our house was licensed. We would have it no other way. Did we have anybody come out and inspect anything or ask any questions? The only person that came out, we paid $50, he inspected our septic tank. How did he inspect our septic tank? He stood in the backyard and looked out in the yard, and he said, "You're good." My point is that we continue to pass these laws, and yes, they will be laws, but we have no way to enforce them. That takes money and manpower, which we are not devoting to these laws. I believe that we could have taken the $114,000 that we paid RDG for the study and spent that money a lot more wisely. Yes, it has been 2 years that we've worked on this plan. And you know what? I just shudder to think about the many hours that paid employees put into this plan. I often found myself wondering about Mr. Beagle in particular. And I like Barry, don't get me wrong, but this is not about likes or dislikes. It is about how county money is spent. He has spent countless hours on this plan, and he wrote the answers to the questions, not the Planning Commission. And if he had all this time to do this, what is his normal job? Was he getting it done? I don't see how. The Planning Commission was a very dedicated group of people. I mean, these people were tasked with an impossible task. And you know what they did? They spent months going over RDG's plan and correcting punctuation, spelling, and a little bit of wording. They didn't make any meaty changes to the plan because honestly, I don't see how they could do it. Because first of all, only 2, I believe, were involved in the actual 22 people on the steering committee. And I have to make mention, I consider Judy a friend, but Judy's also president of the League of Women Voters. So she's wearing dual hats with this. You know, and yes, we did have 2 members come in and join the Planning Commission early in the year, but I also didn't hear of any mention of the gentleman that had been on the Planning Commission that changed his vote. The first vote that was taken, he voted no, and he specifically stated that he believed in a comprehensive plan, but he also believed in public opinion. And the public opinion, the majority of the people that spoke that night were against it. So he voted no. But at this last meeting, he changed his vote. That's the only reason that this plan passed on to the County Commission. I also want to quote again from RDG's plan, what they gave to the county. In the unincorporated areas in the county, they are not under direct control of the various county departments. Shawnee County itself is not responsible for providing water, wastewater, sewer damage, and fire protection and other public services to its residents. I personally like my township. I like my rural water district. I like my rural fire department. I have no problems with any of those, and I want to keep them. Now, it also says here that the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Department is responsible for the maintenance and operation of all locally owned parks in both Topeka and Shawnee County. Okay, most of you know I've been looking at a lot of parks lately, and I find them sorely lacking. I find them lacking in that just regular, routine maintenance, and there is not a farmer in this room that does not know what routine maintenance is very much lacking. I'm going to share with you some pictures. My grandson and I were out at Gage Park Saturday. And I consider this routine maintenance. Why would I want Shawnee County involved in my township, my fire department, when we cannot do better on our parks and recreation? You know, you just voted perhaps $12,000 for parks and recreation employees to go to a conference. That $12,000 could be better spent maintaining Gage Park. That is an eyesore. That is a disgrace. Yes, we are the capital city of Kansas. Look at the bathroom at Gage Park. That's the men's bathroom and the women's bathroom. Take a look at the red party house. That's simple paint. These are easy fixes that we are not doing. I personally believe we need to take care of business before we create more rules and regulations within this county. I'm going to end with that Ben and I had a very dear friend. His name was Gail Klum. He was president of the Kansas State Bank. He once told us, if you commission a study, it's almost a given that that study is going to turn out the way that you want. And I think that that's what this comprehensive plan did. I also don't think that it takes in, nor were any of the landowners, the 825 farm owners in this county, given a voice in this comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Don't be shy.
My name is Lee Palmer. I own some farmland on Southwest 103rd Road. When this came out, why we were going to save farmland and pasture land, that precious stuff, well, that's a lie. That wasn't what this is all about to start with. You want us to move to Topeka and build more houses. They got high crime rate, high taxes, poor streets, and it's noisy. I don't like any of that. We're about 30% of the Shawnee County population as rural people, and you're discriminating against us. It's going to reduce our land value. I pay taxes to Auburn Township and the fire department, etc. And water district. I don't have a problem with it. I think they do a good job. The fire department makes more medical calls than they do fires, and they do a tremendous job. I've had them at my house. So I'm against this thing completely.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Lee. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Paul Post, and I'm a resident of Shawnee County and have been since 1972, with a 4-year stint away from Topeka while I was serving in the Air Force, returning here in 1978 and opening my private law practice 40 years ago this Wednesday. I'm now semi-retired, and I am very interested in the plan now before the Commission. I have a couple of observations and a couple of questions. The observations come from the fact that I spent a lot of time riding my bicycle with the Kaw Valley Bike Club and other friends and folks who like to get out in the country and see what's happening. And I want to thank you for the good roads that we have out there so that I can pedal off to Dover like I did yesterday. But as I ride those roads, I notice some things. I noticed one thing out on 37th Street, west of Auburn Road. There's, on the north side, there are several homes that are new homes that probably have been built in the last 10 years. They're set back a good distance. But there's one home sitting right up front, right on the front, the frontage of the road, just a few feet back, maybe 30, 40 feet. Totally disrupts the flow, if you will, the design of these other homes that have been put in there. Now, that landowner, obviously he can do that, but what do the other landowners think about that? I think that's a question that perhaps this plan might answer. I also have some friends who have 120 acres out on West Union Road that overlooks the Flint Hills. And they've been there for, I don't know, 20 years or so. Well, one morning they woke up, and right across on the east side of West Union Road, here's a home being built. The property had been subdivided, as the plan that you're considering points out, with the frontage being carved out for home ownership, and yet with the back acreage still intact. And that was a surprise to them and somewhat of a shock, because when they bought out there, they had a large acreage that they planned to hold intact. The neighbor wanted to sell, and of course, he has the right to sell, but he did so really without planning for the community out there. I think this plan would address those types of problems. I don't think it's going to impair private property rights. As someone previously before me spoke to this issue, this is an advisory plan. This is not law. This is an advisory plan for consideration. A couple of questions. One is, we have 50 state capitals, we have 50 counties located where those state capitals are located. Why is Shawnee County the only county in the entire nation that does not have a comprehensive land use plan? I think that's a question that should be addressed. The second question I have is that if, as we look forward, as we look to the future of Shawnee County, what kind of a county do we want to have? We have counties surrounding us. Consider Riley County, Pottawatomie County, Jackson County, Jefferson County, Douglas County. They all have comprehensive land use plans. And those counties are growing. Take a look at Douglas County, how it's grown. Most of the people live in Lawrence. Take a look at Riley County, how it's grown. Most of the people live in Manhattan. They have been thoughtful in their approach to land use planning, and they're growing. We are not growing. So I suggest to you that the absence of a comprehensive land use plan may have a lot to do with why Shawnee County is stagnant. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Post?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have to take the long way around. You've heard me before. I'm Judy Moeller. I'm Chair of the Planning Commission, and have been there for 1 year as Chair and 1 year before that. I just want to take a moment. You obviously know I voted for the plan, so I won't go into that. But to read to you, at its regular meeting, April 8th, Barrington Grange, number 1430, passed the following resolution. Be it resolved that Barrington Grange go on record as opposing any form of regulation as to the use of any occupancy of the land and property located in the districts of the Shawnee County. That was from the Topeka Daily Capital, 1942. So there's always been controversy about land use. My one thing to you is to look at the plan. It is a guideline. It's not a mandate. I'm happy to hear you might have amendments to it because it took a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I really hope this plan passes because otherwise, and I've been on a lot of task forces where it did not become adopted. In fact, it sits on a shelf somewhere. But amend it, pass it, and just don't leave it on the shelf.
Thank you, Judy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Evelyn Davis, Wakarusa. And I've been a Shawnee County rural resident since 1949. And I have a small farm in the southern part of the county. Since the dissolution of the Metropolitan Planning Commission in the early 2000s, Shawnee County, which includes Topeka, has languished in developing a healthy, vibrant community. And we've heard that from several other people, how we lack and how others who have a plan have progressed. Topeka has lost tax base and is unable to repair roads and aging infrastructure such as water lines. We hear one breaking daily. And all taxpayers have paid far more for services and infrastructure in the county outside of the city than similar regions across the state and nation having plans. So the problem with not having a comprehensive plan is that we are all paying more without a plan. While several people at the public meeting spoke against the plan, most of their remarks were based on emotion and speculation as to perceived personal loss rather than facts. One opponent claimed that we are not losing prime farmland, which is patently incorrect and can easily be verified by the planning department. You have a duty to base your decision on facts rather than emotion or the vested interests of a few. Some of you commissioners asked for exact costs for each general recommendation in the plan, but you were not willing to invest in research to ascertain those facts. It is your duty to make decisions for the common good of all county residents rather than simply refer to how many county residents spoke for or against the plan. It's disturbing to see actions apparently taken to sabotage the plan. For instance, 2 new recent appointees replaced 2 county planning commissioners who were on the board during plan development and who each voted in favor of the original plan. Their terms had expired. Both had expressed interest in continuing to serve. Another member of the Planning Commission stated at the last public hearing that he had been appointed with the express expectation that he would vote against the plan. However, after being immersed in the research and preparation of the plan, he admirably voted in favor because he sees the merit of having a comprehensive plan. While the Commission sent the plan back for review with a long list of questions, it signaled the expectation the Planning Commission Board would simply abandon the plan. Fortunately, after more than $100,000 had invested and many hours of work, the Planning Board decided to refine the plan and address the questions, as Mr. Cook has shown you with the voluminous report. Now the plan is back in your purview with a recommendation to approve. Is it perfect? Probably not. But is it reasonable and feasible? Yes. Dysfunctional government results from inability to compromise. This plan is exactly that, as several others have noted, a plan with recommendations. It is not regulations nor a mandatory list of actions. It is a guide for potential regulations and actions or not, as you will continue to determine. After this large investment of time and money, and given the plan's logical recommendations based on research, it should be adopted and made available for consideration during current and future land use decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Steve Henning. I live in Wakarusa, and I just got a few things to say. Last year in the October 2nd meeting, Bob, towards the end of the meeting, you asked the county councilor, well, if we pass this plan, what's next? And the county councilor said, well, he said, we got to work on zoning and regulations. And then after that, he said, enforcement. So there's some people out here saying, there's no laws, no new laws or anything like that. The heck there isn't. There is. And if we're worried about sprawl, and because I've heard that come up several times, well, change the permit system. I don't know is it 3 acres or 5 acres you have to have? 3. Okay, well, let's change it to 20 acres or more. How's that? That'd take care of the sprawl, wouldn't it? Most of it? Do we need to have this entire plan? I mean, I read the whole thing, not the appendix, but it was like, yeah, it took me a while. It was like 670 pages or something like that, but. And there's some environmental stuff in there too, folks, in Chapter 2 there. I mean, there's endangered species, and there's bugs and minnows and stuff that I have never even heard of that are endangered, I guess. And that may come into play. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm seeing all this environmental stuff come out. And this comprehensive plan isn't just local. They're implementing these all over the United States. Because I looked into it, and I'm afraid in the end, this gentleman said, in the end, it'll be a while, but eventually they're going to move the people off the rural Shawnee County into the city. That's the overall goal. And this isn't emotion. I'm not using emotion here. I'm telling you the truth. Because I've looked into some of these other comprehensive plans out there. And in the long run, that's where it ends. I mean, and as far as taxes, I realize that, that people think, well, us in the rural area aren't paying enough taxes to the city. Well, I can tell you, my property tax, it goes up every year. I mean, unless you fight it a little bit, but it does go up quite often, and I don't, I pay taxes. I go in town, I shop, the sales tax and all that. What are we not doing? I feel like the rural Shawnee County, those folks, we don't have a lot of representation here. And the people who want the comprehensive plan primarily live in the city limits. Some of them just right on the outskirts, but. So is this a battle between the folks in the city limits and the ones in rural Shawnee County? I mean, I hope it's not. I want to do what's right, but I think we could just make a few changes and stop the sprawl, make everybody happy, and see Topeka grow. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Ben Marple. I think you all know what my feelings are. I want to make a couple of comments. I know Evelyn served on the conservation, for the Soil Conservation District for a while as an employee. It upsets me when I see CRP acres, Conservation Reserve acres, grow to brush like at Burlingame Road and south of 69th. It belongs to Howard Park, quarter section. There is not a shortage of farm ground if our government will go ahead and allow that. The second comment, I recently met a fellow that worked for Caterpillar. He's stationed in Foley's, and he's the finance officer. And I was telling him my concerns, and he says, oh, whatever they do, they're going to have a big legal battle because people will hire a lawyer. And this proposal is going to create a lot of lawsuits and people wanting what they want. And I'm not talking about farmers. I'm talking about people that want to live in the rural area, and there's some of them out there with money. And they're going to make this thing work their way, not what you decide. That was his feelings. And he's high up with Caterpillar. I just think it's a horrible plan. And I'm sorry if my emotions get in everybody's way, but my family homesteaded in 1857. And that's the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
My name is Deb Nielsen. I live in southeast Shawnee County. I live in Berryton. I just found out about this today. As I was on my computer, I found out that we're having this meeting, and I have not read the whole proposal. I started to read it, but it's impossible to read. I imagine there are a lot of people like me that have no idea about this proposal. I've lived in Shawnee County since 1981, in the same house, same community. I was welcomed by all the farmers and everybody in the community. When I moved here, I could have chosen to live in the city of Topeka. I did not want to live in a big city. I chose more rural environment. I've raised my children. They got to ride horses. We had a wonderful experience. I know there's more and more houses being built, and there probably is a need for some kind of regulations. But I think the people who live and choose to live in the county do it because they like the rural life. I know I am within the 3-mile exo, whatever it's called, urban district, and I would then become part of the city of Topeka. I have a few questions. Does that mean I pay Topeka taxes now?
Yes.
And not Shawnee County taxes? Does that mean that my fire department changes, my water services change, the road, people who take care of my roads change? because I have been very happy for 30-plus years living where I live, and I think the county has done a wonderful job out in the country. And I am retired now, and my guess is if, depending on the regulations and how it all develops, which I don't know what will happen, but I might move. Somebody said lawsuits, but I think you'll have some flight, some people that will definitely leave the county, depending on the regulations and depending on the quality of services that we will have, because to me, the quality of services in Shawnee County has been higher probably than the quality of services when I look at roads and parks and things in the city. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Arlen Kirkwood. I want to thank you for giving us the chance to talk against this comprehensive plan. I don't think any of us want more government in our lives, and that is exactly what this is. 191 pages of rules and regulations. That is hard to believe. We have too many people sitting behind a desk dreaming up stuff to control everything we do. This will increase taxes, not decrease them. And it's been mentioned before, only 4 of the 7 on the Planning Commission thought it was a good idea, and one of them changed his mind in the last 5 minutes, or we wouldn't be here. 10 people talked against it, and only 2 for it, yet the Planning Commission votes for it. I don't think some of them even listened to one word that we said. I've talked to at least 60 people, more than 60 people, in our church and neighborhood, and I haven't found one person that thinks this is a good idea. And the only reason I'm going to bring this part up is I hope the commission will listen to the people again. But my faith in government was restored about 3 or 4 years ago when Mr. Beagle and the fire department thought they had a great place to build a fire station. And the people in the community knew it was not a great place, and we came to the commission meeting, and thanks to Mrs. Bueller and the ones on the commission, they voted it down, and since then they've found a place to build a station. But it's really hard to get very many people to these meetings because most people are working, and you've heard that before. But I could have easily gotten 100 more people if not for that. I talked for 2 or 3 minutes at the Planning Commission meeting, and at the end of my talk, I mentioned that between my father, 2 brothers, and myself, we spent 22 years in the military. And this plan was the most un-American thing I've ever been involved with. Because we were in the military, it didn't make us any better than anyone else. We were all proud of the time we served our country. As I walked away from the podium, Mr. Desch said, that is totally uncalled for and unnecessary. No one has even ever told me that my time in the service was unnecessary or uncalled for. About 2 days after I finally calmed down, I was thinking that maybe he meant the comprehensive plan was unnecessary and uncalled for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service, sir.
A lot. Thank you.
My name is Steve Porubsky. I live in northern Shawnee County. I won't keep very much of your time. You guys are hearing a lot. First of all, how many people back here are against this plan that have not spoken? I wanted to make that noted. There's people out in the hallway waving their arms you can't even see. And I believe Carol said earlier, there's 824 or 25 farms in Shawnee County. While our numbers are few, we pay the vast majority of the taxes in Shawnee County. We own or control most of the land in Shawnee County. So our numbers are not great, but our voice with our checkbook should be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan Ragland again. I actually looked through part of the plan today, and I was looking at the wording, and as far as I can tell, which, like you said, it's very vast, it's hard to take in all that, and some of it's legal information that's hard to understand at times for someone that's just a farmer and self-employed individual. But anyway, and I tried in the short period of time that I have. My question is, the wording about land doesn't appear to have changed much. They changed a few punctuations. They didn't say that they've changed anything about how we use our land and how the right to use our land. So my concern, bring it back up to you guys, is because some of you have the same concern that we do. I want to know exactly what has changed that was supposed to have been changed, that they spent, I don't know, how long has it been since we were here the last time discussing this? It's been, what, 6, 7 months? I don't even remember when it was. So I don't see anything that's changed for most of us that are here that are concerned about. And I'd like to bring us back to the Declaration of Independence. It says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, if you go back to when that was established, Thomas Jefferson was the one who came up with that phrase, which he had heard it from someone else, which I think was Madison. The pursuit of happiness, and I don't know if any of you are aware of that, is it originally meant property. The reason they changed it is because there were slaves at the time, and they did not want to offend anyone in the idea of property being slaves. When intent, the pursuit of happiness, means you have land that you can pursue to have happiness on earth. Because it used to be farmers, that's the way you stayed alive. And we know factories came in, everything's changed because of the industrial industry. It used to be that we had to have property to live. Now, we live in a totally different world today. But I don't believe the right to own ground and to do with it to pursue happiness is anyone's responsibility to tell us how we can use it. And that's what the Constitution does, is to give us the freedom to use it as we see fit. So anybody that comes in with a comprehensive plan, I don't care who it is, and I don't care if they're in every county, doesn't make it right. What makes it right is it's right for the people, because we, the people, are the government. And we place people in positions to make decisions for the right of the people, not the right of a city, not the right of any organization. But it should always be concerned for the right of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing anybody else coming up to the podium, I would note that all of your comments have been heard. This is not a last opportunity for your voice to be heard or your opinions to be expressed. I would ask that you stop us in the hallways, grocery stores, maybe not church, at least service gets over. But where you may see us, but contact the commission, you can email, you can call. All of those messages do arrive to us. One thing that I do want to comment on is, what are the positions of the commissioners? We've said it before, but it bears to say it again. I don't know where Commissioner Bueller, what her position is on the comprehensive plan. Nor does she know where mine is. Nor do we know where Commissioner Archer is. All business has to be conducted in public. The two of us can't sit down and hatch up our own plan. All has to be discussed right here with all public being able to see it. So on the 10th, when we come, the 27th, when we come back, will be an opportunity for you to hear from your commissioners and what they think about the comprehensive plan, and if they support it, if there's changes that they want to make to it, if they want to reject it, and what their views are. And so I can tell you that I may have my thoughts on it, but I can almost guarantee you that Commissioner Bueller has some different thoughts. And I can almost guarantee you that Commissioner Archer has different thoughts. But we want you, the public, to have the opportunity to see our discussions on it, and to also have input after we have a discussion. And that would be the reason why we would not take a final vote on the 27th, but to come back on the September the 10th for any final vote on the comprehensive plan. So please, do not let this be your last opportunity to have your voice heard. This is a first opportunity for your voice to be heard on this revised comprehensive plan. That being said, Commissioner Archer.
Thank you, and I have a question for the county councilor, if I may, very quickly. People have described this as a guide, as providing guidelines, as advisory in nature. That's not a fact. I think that's misleading. If this plan is adopted, we have to implement it. Is that correct?
Well, the plan is required to be implemented by law. It is advisory, but in order to enforce it, there would be proposed changes to the zoning regulations following this. I mean, that's always been part of it.
Right.
Part of the process is you have a comprehensive plan, and then you have updated zoning regulations that implement rules related to the plan.
Okay. I just thought the emphasis on the advisory nature was misleading, that if the plan is adopted, that is a requirement. There are statutory requirements that we have to meet.
Right.
Okay. That was I just wanted to clear that up, Mr. Chair.
Another question that's somewhat misleading, the 3-mile area surrounding the city of Topeka. With the adoption of this plan, that would not put those constituents in the city of Topeka.
No, that would not. The only way that someone who's currently not within the city of Topeka would become within the city of Topeka would be through an annexation process.
Right, where they would then move in.
And adopting the comprehensive plan is not an annexation process.
Correct.
Through the law, which has been around for a long time, cities of the first class, which the city of Topeka is, has the ability to exercise what they call extraterritorial jurisdiction on planning and zoning issues when a county does not have a comprehensive plan in place. So one of the reasons why the city of Topeka can regulate now in that 3-mile area is because the Shawnee County does not have a comprehensive plan.
Thank you.
With the adoption of a comprehensive plan, would Shawnee County then be able to take back its 3-mile radius?
Under the statutes, what that does is it sets up a process whereby the city or the county can require the city to come to the table and start a negotiation process over what the zoning regulations are going to be within that 3-mile area.
All right.
So it starts a statutory process for possibly coming back together, so to speak, between the city and the county over what to do over that 3-mile area. When the county pulled out of the Joint Metropolitan Planning Agency back in the early 2000s, that's when the county pulled back its ability to regulate in that area.
That area. Okay, thank you.
And so when we had the city of Topeka pass its long-range plan, and it changed the zoning requirements on subdivision of property to 20-acre plots, that was how those individuals were affected, because even though they don't reside within the city was regulating what they would do with the property.
Right. They are not within the city limits, but under state law, the city can exercise extraterritorial jurisdiction up to 3 miles from the city limits under the planning statutes, because Shawnee County does not have a plan.
And just noting that when that plan was adopted, those individuals did not really have any representation. The city council didn't represent them, and their county commissioners didn't have a seat at the table. So,
Correct.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Please do continue to contact us, continue to reach out, go through the plan. It's again, there's a lot here to read and a lot here to comprehend. Our next item, and if you all just hang tight for just 1 minute, we'll be done. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any department head or member of the public to address the commission on any item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oakes from the Health Department. We are about halfway through the first phase of our Community Health Needs Assessment, which is the survey phase. We've gotten about 1,200 surveys back. That's great. Almost 1,300, excuse me. So that's great, but I just want to encourage folks to keep taking those surveys. If you haven't taken it, you can access the survey on our webpage, which is shawneehealth.org, or Stormont Vale's webpage, which is stormontvale.org. We also have a link in our Facebook feed, and we're going to be featuring that post again, so it'll be really easy. You just click on it and go to the survey. We have paper surveys available at the library and at the health department, both at our clinic on 10th Street and our main clinic on McVicker. And we will have some volunteers at the library next Saturday from 11 to 1 to help fill out the survey. We had quite a few done this Saturday, so we're going to do that again. So I hope everyone gets out there and takes a survey, especially the men. We aren't getting a really good response from men, and if you guys don't want us women telling you what we're going to do for health, get out there and take that survey so your voice is heard. And then coming up in September will be our town hall meetings, and I'll make some more announcement about those, but just to mark your calendar, Tuesday, September 11th, 5:30 to 7 p.m. at Avondale East Net Center. Thursday, September 13th, 11:30 to 1 at the Silver Lake United Methodist Church. And Thursday, September 13th, 5:30 to 7 p.m. at Oakland Community Center. We'll be discussing the survey and more of the health topics. We'll have refreshments. And then the stakeholder town hall meeting is at the health department on Thursday, September 27th from 11:30 to 1. So please come out and help us plan for the next few years of how we're going to improve the health of Shawnee County. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Any other public comments? Commissioner Bueller?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Commissioner Archer, how was your trip?
I'm glad you brought it up, Mr. Chair. It was a very enriching trip for me. I do want to make some thanks. Number one, to Betty Griner for filling in for me at the canvassing meeting. That was appreciated. I wanted to thank NACO, the National Association of Counties, for hosting a breakfast while I was in Washington. I want to especially thank the White House for the invitation, and especially the Intergovernmental Affairs Agency that sponsored the trip. And, you take what you can and believe what you can from a meeting like that, but the White House and the administration seem to be focused on driving decisions down to the local level as far as decision-making and problem-solving. I think that was a welcome change, and I think that challenges us to do a better job. One thing I think everybody realizes how much I admire Commissioner Cook, his leadership and hard work have been deeply appreciated, and I think everyone knows how Commissioner Cook typically wears a hat when he comes around, so I thought it was appropriate that I bring back this hat specially for Commissioner Cook. It says, "Make America Great Again."
Well,
there you are, Commissioner.
I'm sure I will find a very special place for your hat.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Your face is as red as the hat is right now, I must admit.
Well, Commissioner Bueller, I guess there's no special gift for you.
That's all right. That's all right.
I don't have any additional comments. After that, I'm a little speechless. So, Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
There is not a need for an executive session today. We are adjourned.
One thing they did give us as a direct contact.
Good.